Okay, we're live.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to What's the Tea with South Suburban Family Shelter. So, of course, my name is Angie. I am from the Community Education Department, and today we have our beautiful intern, Kayla. So, as of right now, we're going to just wait until everyone is logging on, getting their tea. Okay, so as you are preparing, please comment, like, and share so that all of your followers can be on today's episode with Kayla. So, how are you today? How's it going so far?
I'm doing well. I woke up really early this morning, got an oil change on this gloomy day. I know.
Okay, because I was like, when I woke up this morning and seen that it was raining, I just put my cover right back
Yeah.
on like no, I'm
I
not ready.
wanted to, I really wanted to pick up the phone and call them and be like, can we cancel? But no, I was there bright and early, got that done, and then just moving about my day. And then I was like, yay, I was so excited for this.
Yes, we really appreciate you so much. Really appreciate you for doing this, for being on the show today, blessing us with your presence. So again, as we have our viewers and our followers and our friends and our community members coming on today, we do want to welcome you back to What's the Tea. We are here, same time, same place, different tea. Okay, so we hope that you have your tea. We are here 1 p.m. every Tuesday, Facebook Live on South Suburban Family Shelter's page. Okay. So today I have my tea. I have chamomile tea today. So what you drinking, Kayla?
I have chai tea. It's my favorite.
Oh, I don't think I've had chai tea.
I
It's so
love
crazy because
chai
I
tea.
just threw, oh my gosh, I just threw some chai tea away, I think.
What?
Because I
That is
had,
criminal. You
I
cannot
know
be
because it
away.
wasn't the tea bags. It was the one that you put in the tea maker and the coffee maker, and mine isn't working. So now
Oh,
I'm upset. So now I'm gonna go get some chai tea.
it is so good. You make it so I make it with two different ways. One with half and half, and then if I
Oh,
don't have half and half, then I make it with whole milk.
well, there you
It's
go.
nice
See,
and rich and creamy.
hey, listen, you're on here because you're giving us recipes for tea. So that means next week you should have some different tea, right?
Right.
Okay, so again, my name is Angie. Today we are here with Kayla. She is South Suburban Family Shelter's amazing intern. So first, just to start off, Kayla, what department are you interning for?
So I'm in the counseling department, counseling program, but I feel like I have had a unique internship experience because I've been everywhere. I started my internship pregnant, so because of that, I got to like go in different areas to make sure got all the hours, so that way when I took my
Right.
maternity leave, I wasn't lacking hours. So I was in the court advocacy program. I love Shantae and all the advocates. They're amazing. I was there sometimes Tuesdays, and I also got to shadow Letitia while she did her healthy living like little workshops or whatever every week for
Yeah.
Sanctuary. So that's been nice. And then obviously I have my clients as well. So I've been everywhere.
Wow. So I know that was just an experience in itself, just starting off at a new agency, being pregnant, and because I remember in training and you were like ready to pop almost, right?
No, so in training, yeah, I was on my about to be on my last trimester. I started at ending my second trimester, and then I had Ezra in November. So yeah.
Okay, so wow. Okay, so let's take it back. Okay, so how long have you been technically working at our agency?
So I've been here a year, and so because of the pandemic, so normally the interns they're just there for their school year, so usually about 9 months, 9 to yeah, like usually you start in the fall and then you end by the beginning of summer. But I've been here a full year, full calendar year because of the pandemic. And I was just like, I'm almost really done with getting my hours, but I just want to stay and help because they're not getting another intern. And I just love our clients so much. So I'm staying on till December.
Well, first of all, we appreciate you for just taking the initiative and helping us know seriously. But that's cool because I didn't know. I mean, it makes sense that you're going through it for school, so it is a certain amount of time that you are with us. So I didn't know that, so I learned something new today. Thank you. But we really appreciate you just for being with us and even wanting to stay after your time to continue doing the work for our community through domestic violence. So we just really appreciate you for that.
Thanks.
So I know we have maybe some parents watching. I'm not sure if we have any students watching with school starting back up, but just in case, for those that are not aware, what are some of the requirements it takes to be an intern at our agency?
So you have to, for the counseling department, you have to be enrolled in a master's program. So I actually attended North Park University. And so I actually graduated in May. So yay.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
Agree.
Yay. So you have to be enrolled in that. And then also you have to make sure that you're under someone who has a license, so they're a licensed therapist
Okay.
in the state of Illinois, to make sure that you're fulfilling your like hours requirement too. And I have a wonderful supervisor. Like I meet with her every Thursday. She's the best. I learned so much from her. And then just in general, like our whole counseling team, like each and every one of us brings something to the table. And I think like that's the great thing about our counseling department, is because every client fits with someone. So we have counselors who speak other languages, which I think is amazing, to service that population. We have counselors who have a background in sexual assault, because domestic violence it encompasses that as well, like sexual abuse. So we have a counselor who actually previous experience with counseling those who have been victims of sexual assault. So it's really like I love our team. That was another reason why I was like, yeah, I'll stay.
Okay. That's amazing. I just really want, I know we've done this before, but I just really want to say how amazing our counseling department is. Like you all are so dope. You all put in such like a lot of hard work, and just knowing our numbers have skyrocketed through the pandemic, and the amount of work and the amount of support you all are giving to our community and to our survivors, and to those who would rather call themselves victims, whatever they prefer themselves to be called. I just think that you all are doing such an amazing job, and I just don't want that to go unnoticed. And for you, for our intern, like it's just that doesn't go under the rug. You're putting in just the amount of work as everybody else. So we really want to thank you.
Thanks.
No problem. So I must ask, we spoke a lot before the live video. We got to bond over motherhood
Yes.
and our challenges with balancing motherhood and work and things like that. But what have been some challenges you faced specifically with your work during the pandemic? Has there been any challenges? I know with you being an intern, have you ever experienced dealing with the pandemic at another job before? So how has this been for you?
Yeah, I feel like this is totally, it's different. It's interesting. I was actually talking to someone else about this. It's another way. A lot of times with our clients, like they are going through things, and we can only empathize with them and just, share that, we're here for you. But with this experience, and we're living through this traumatic experience, or the pandemic, whatever you want to call it, alongside with them. So it kind of brings some humanity to the relationship, because we always want to be here the same level as our clients. I always tell my clients they're driving and I'm just sitting in the passenger seat, making sure they don't just go off on the side of the road.
I love that though. It's like, hey, I'm not taking over your car.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here with you. We here together. So I like that. I like that.
So I think this pandemic and this experience kind of brought us closer together, because it's kind of, they're not just like following, even though they try to, they try to tell me, no, you take over. No, you. So being in this, and sometimes I share with I'm the I feel like I'm the type of therapist or counselor to self-disclose, but in a way that's beneficial to my clients. So letting them know, like, yes, this is hard, this is difficult. I'm with my boys too at home. I totally understand, like, we're not getting breaks. So just bringing some humanity to the experience. I would say personally, like, just figuring out childcare has been one of the main things. Like, before we were talking, before we jumped on the live, we were just talking about, like, well, my husband, he was helping a little bit because just we kind of had to figure out our schedules. But now that, we're kind of picking back up, everyone's kind of trying to get back to normal, whatever that means.
Right, whatever
He's
that
back
means.
to his full, yeah, what does that mean? He's back to his full hours. So now I'm like,
Right.
oh, okay, who's going to have the boys? So it's just one of those things.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you said a lot of important things right there in your statement. Just first talking about bringing that sense of humanity, bringing that sense of being very relatable, right? And I know that could be tough because when you are in that position, it may feel at times that they are looking at you for all the answers. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, what do I do now? And it's just like, well, we're figuring this out together,
Yeah.
like
Mm-hmm.
I'm here with you, and empathizing with your clients is very, very important because not everyone wants that sympathy part. They
Yeah.
want you to be able to understand,
Yeah.
and I do agree. Of course, with the pandemic comes the babysitters,
Yeah.
and I know we were just sitting here like, yeah, you got your babysitter, yeah, the boys.
Yeah.
Okay, let me go check on my son. 1 second, so I definitely can understand that aspect, which I'm sure a lot of our viewers, if you are working from home and you have children, whether you're helping them learn, whether you're going to drop them off at school or taking someone to work, I'm sure that you all can understand that as well. But you make it look easy, Kayla.
Oh, no, no, I'm just like, just today on Tuesday at 1 p.m.
Okay, that's some tea. Say only today. So, within your internship, I know that you said that you got to experience a lot of different departments when you first started off at the agency. So, what exactly do your job consist of as an internship? Does that change daily? Has that changed since the pandemic happened? What exactly do you do for our agency? Because I know you do a lot.
So I will say, before the pandemic, I basically, okay, there's 3 parts to this. When I was pregnant, I was helping out with our beginnings course. So we do a psychoeducational course on domestic violence, letting all of our victims know, like, what is domestic violence? What are the characteristics of an abuser? How does this manifest for you? Also letting them see how it manifests with their children as well, like children who witness domestic violence. So I did that course, and I still do that course. It's not in a group setting. It's like this, how we're doing
Yeah.
it now. And it's one-on-one. So unfortunately, they don't get to share each other's experiences. And then also I was doing intakes as well. That was for counseling department. And then when I was at court, I was helping with orders of protection, like shadowing, all the court advocates, as well as kind of like cheering on and advocating for the counseling department, like, we can help you process this. Like, come on over to our
Planting that seed,
yeah.
just you telling people, like, did you know?
Yeah. And then all the time because it's in the info is there, they do get this folder, which I think is great, of all these resources. But I will always pull out that resource and just be like, hey, we give you counseling, and it's free.
Yeah. No, seriously, that's awesome. That is really awesome. So what has been your favorite department?
Well, I still, since my passion is therapy and counseling, that's what my favorite is. And then, now I do have my regular clients who I see weekly. It's interesting that some of my clients I've never met face to face. It's just been through this, or before we started telehealth, we were on the phone. So that was a different aspect that was really interesting. So and it's nice to have those regular clients who you see weekly, so you can check and keep going on the process. That's the one thing that I do love about the therapeutic relationship, is that you can continue on with their journey. Like with court, you see them when it first happens, and that's when it's really critical. And that's a nice way when you do want to plant that counseling seed, because like this is something that just happened, you may want to process it. A lot of times they may not be ready for therapy, but they want to talk and like vent and do everything in that one office while we're filling out that order protection, and that's fine too. But it's nice when you can have your weekly clients, because you can just see them from start to finish and like be able to help their journey, and watch them.
Absolutely. So I know that you said that it went from you being in person with the group setting with your clients to now it being one-on-one virtual. Have you seen your clients struggle with the one-on-one in comparison to the group setting, or do you think that they enjoy having that one-on-one time with you instead?
So for the psychoeducation class or domestic violence education class, it's the first experience with the counseling department. So those clients don't really know any different. So if it's their first time when it was in a group, they know the group experience. Or if it's their first time it's one-on-one, they're just like, oh, okay, this is
This
how
is
it
the
is.
only way.
Yeah. So, I will say that it works out both ways. I'm happy that I'm doing it again, because, before we were on this space or doing a video, there was really no way for me to give the course. And so I'm happy to be giving it again, because I think it's really beneficial. It helps the therapeutic process, knowing like, we can give the form or say it to them over the phone, but them actually seeing it on paper helps a lot more.
Right. Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. Definitely didn't think about that. Like, hey, this is the first thing. So they don't know anything
Yeah.
else but the one-on-one.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, that makes sense. So has there been a favorite, let's see, a favorite project at South Suburban Family Shelter that you got to contribute to or work on? And if so, what was your favorite?
Oh, that's a good question. I haven't really gotten to experience any projects, just because like my internship has just been so different. Because literally, like, I was gone from maternity leave and then I came back and then there was a pandemic. So
Right,
everything's been
right.
broken
Yeah.
up. I feel that, like, had there either been no maternity leave or no pandemic, maybe I would have been able to experience a project. But I still have till December, so I can still contribute in another way. But as of right now, I haven't contributed in a particular project, but I love the trainings that we do. Like, everyone, like in our admin office, that they always have the trainings. I'm always there. Like, even if it's the time that normally like I'm not in the office or normally
Right.
working, I always sign up for the trainings, because I always think like you can learn something new. The last one talked about like domestic violence and also how it relates to cultural humility, and then how it relates to the Breonna Taylor case.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so
Wow.
that was like done really well, and I learned so much from that. Even though I was like really familiar with the case, it was just another aspect of viewing it, from just like looking at how, especially with the racial climate and what's going on in America today, like how does this kind of relate back to us, or what can we do as a helping community, if this person doesn't look like us, doesn't have the same like background as us. And some of my clients, they look like me, but I've never experienced what they're going through. So it's just a different way of viewing those things.
Absolutely. And that's really important, because even though, we may look like each other, we haven't experienced the same. And everybody's journey and everybody's experience is different. But you actually brought up something that was really important that I kind of want to ask you. So I know that you've been working closely with clients and you have had your good and your bad personally, even work related in regards to the pandemic. What is some advice you would give someone that may be experiencing some abuse or domestic violence at this point in time, but because we are still kind of in that not in the stay at home order, but we're still in that pandemic and they're suggesting that you stay home.
Yeah.
What are some advice that you would have if someone may have a friend or a family member and they're watching right now and looking to give some advice?
Yeah, so safety is the number one thing. So definitely, if the person is in an unsafe situation, whether it's a pandemic or not, and the and that person is also comfortable not being in that abusive situation anymore, whether they want to leave, they can always call any hotline numbers, or they can also themselves like seek shelter. So we never want to make it seem like they don't have any options because we're under this stay at home order. You don't have to stay home. Like there's another safe place for you to go. Even though, it's a pandemic, and the shelters or whatever emergency shelter, they're using safe precautions as well. So they're not understanding that this is a pandemic too. So if that family member doesn't want to be in that situation, they can contact a hotline number, our hotline number, or also if they're saying, you know what, if that family member, because I know it's sometimes hard to, convince or be that friend or family who's witnessing a friend or family member go through a domestic violence relationship, and they don't really know what to do. Be there for them. Like, you have to let the person get to the place to be confident enough to leave if that's what they want to do. Some situations it's not safe for them to leave, because if they leave, it could be putting them in a more dangerous situation. So you opening yourself up, being there for them, whether you all have like a little code word or password where a friend or family can call you and just be like, hey, you want to get tea, or your thing is tea? Yeah, we'll just say, like,
Right.
I need some chai tea today. And then you come over at 10 at night because something's going on. Let it be that. But you have to open yourself up to be that person. A lot of times, and I've had some of my clients share that, they can't talk to their friends or family about this because their friends or family were like, well, we told you to leave them already. You keep talking about this. Like, we're tired of hearing the same story. But you're not giving your friend or family member the opportunity to leave or stay or vent to you if you're always like shooting them down. So like, just being there is the number one thing I would say if that person is not ready to leave in that at this current time.
And I definitely like that you are speaking about the support and being there and listening to them. Not necessarily saying that you will understand, but you're
Yeah.
there to listen. And I know, just me being personal right now, I've had family members during the pandemic that have experienced domestic violence. And, it's definitely a difficult subject because during this time, it's like there's nowhere to go. Or me being, maybe I think, well, because this is a very urgent time, the shelters they're overpacked. They don't want me, or I don't need to be there. I don't want to be a burden or things. So I think you really speaking on the fact of just being there, check up on that
Mhm.
person, have a code word, do that safety planning, seeing how they're doing is just really important, because I think it's safe to say, whether it's domestic violence or something else, we are all experiencing different types of issues or
Yeah,
triggering traumas, that's happening right now.
definitely. And I will say, like, even if you have a corner of your living room that you can share for a couple of days, that they can just stay there, or you can see that the mother is dealing with domestic violence and she could be under a lot of stress, why don't your children and her children e-learn together, so it's a communal experience, so she doesn't even have to say like, oh, I'm going to a friend's house, and then the abuser be like, oh, well, why are you going, blah blah blah. You could just be like, oh, well, we're doing e-learning together, and it would be like, okay, well, that makes sense. So, our children, their children are all together, so then we're gonna
I
go over
like that, like a little community.
there. Yeah, so I mean, then that person would not be any of the wiser what you're doing. And then while the kids are e-learning, just like say, hey, what's going on? And I would just like to say that knowing that sometimes a coping mechanism is like minimalization. So if someone is in domestic violence relationship, or they'll just be like, oh, everything's fine, like they may not like actually disclose what's going on, but if you build that rapport and continuing to be a friend, then they'll eventually like open up.
So I've been listening to you, and it seems that you have a great passion for this field of work. So have you always been passionate about domestic violence and working with survivors, or is this something that kind of just developed as you've been in school?
So actually I have not. And it's so funny because like this internship just helped me become more knowledgeable about the subject. It I would say I originally went to school, and after I had my boys, to be a maternal mental health therapist. So that's what eventually I'm going to do. I would love to have like a practice where I help moms after postpartum period, or helping them beforehand, like just like, no, parenting is hard. It's a hard situation.
Well,
Just
Kayla, I'm
knowing
gonna
that.
come see you.
Yeah.
Okay. No.
So like, just setting them up for success and just being that helpful hand along the way. I follow someone on Instagram. She has a practice, and on her practice it says everyone wants to hold the baby, but no, who's gonna hold the mother? And ever since I like saw that, I was like, yes, like this is possible. This
That's
is yeah, like
true.
everyone's like, as soon as they see the baby, where's the baby? Oh, he's so cute. She's so cute. Oh, and then the mom's like, okay, I did this whole thing here. This is possible for me, because of me. And no one talks about her at all. And even relating it back to domestic violence, like pregnancy is a very critical time if you're pregnant in domestic violence relationship. A lot of times it's the most dangerous time. So like, that is important, and I really cherish this experience because I will be able to help my future clients if they're in domestic violence situation. I've like had this experience and this training, so I'll be able to spot and pinpoint like those situations. So noting, long story short, to answer your question, I haven't been passionate because before this internship, but ever since like I started the internship, I just picked it up and I was just like, this is amazing, like I get to help like a lot of people. And then I always attribute this, my friend Asia Turner, she died from domestic violence. She was killed by her then partner. She was fleeing him, and he ended up murdering her and then himself. They had a son, but then she also has a daughter, Layla. And just after her death, like I never really like domestic violence wasn't something that like I thought about on a regular basis. I didn't even know that she was in a domestic violence relationship. But after her death, and then when I was searching for internships, I was like, oh yeah, South Suburban Family Shelter, like why don't I just call them? And then I did, and then here I am. But I have learned so much in knowing that this is not just an out of a blue thing, domestic violence. Like it affects a lot of people, whether it may not be you, but someone who is a victim of domestic violence, or a lot of people, they just won't tell you. So I've probably known like a lot of people who could have, been in a situation like Asia's, but thankfully it didn't end up in them dying, but it was still a dangerous situation or not a healthy relationship. And so, months went by, even like while I was pregnant, while I was on my maternity leave, I would always text like my coworkers and be like, how are you guys doing? Like, what's going on there? Like, and they're like, stop thinking about this agency and just be with your baby. Like,
well, first, I just want to say that I am so sorry for your loss. So sorry
thank you.
of the loss of your friend who is your guardian angel now. But I do also want to say that it's crazy how the world aligned itself. And you didn't think that the same thing that you weren't too knowledgeable or didn't think twice about, now you're putting in the work, And I know Asia is looking down like, yes, do it for me, do it, But that, and you were being authentic, you was like, no, I never really was interested in this field, So it's kind of crazy how the world aligned itself. And we just want to really thank you for having your presence in our agency and your work that you've been doing.
So much.
And because, we're going to give a little bit more tea, because you were very authentic with yourself. What is one thing that you thought about domestic violence, and then after working at the agency, you was like, oh, dang, that wasn't right to think like that?
I always thought that it was just easy just to get up and like leave the situation. Like, I didn't understand why a lot of people stayed in relationships that weren't healthy, because I was just thinking, well, like, if they're hurting you, then just get up, like, and that was something that I was very naive about, and didn't understand that there's many obstacles to leaving. And if you have children, it makes it even harder. And then I didn't even understand the concept of it being dangerous when you're leaving. And so, I don't know. I think that that's just like a society thing, that we just think, well, like, if you're not in a healthy relationship, just not be in that relationship any longer. But then as a society, the problem with that like logic is that we're not willing to help those individuals, so that creates more obstacles. So it's like, how are they gonna leave a abusive relationship if we're not willing to help them? I mean, in my psychoeducation class, it's every time I say this fact, they're just like, now it hasn't been one client that was just like, oh, that makes sense. Like, every time I say that there are more animal shelters than there are for women and children. And then they just, all my clients are like, what? That's not right. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm just like, yes, this is real. And this is
look, we learned that from DV training, right? And that's the 40-hour course.
Yeah.
No, seriously. No, that's really true. There are more animal shelters in the U.S. than there is shelters for battered women and men. And let's just really talk about it, the lack of resources there is for our men who are survivors, or, who are victims right now, so that's just a whole another topic.
I actually had to, I was talking to my husband yesterday. We were walking the track and we were just talking about something, and I had to do like quick rundown of 40-hour training with him. Like, this is this, like, he's just saying, I'm like, yeah, this happens to men too. And, da, da, da. And it's like, you all don't speak out. And then obviously that's just another conversation about just like masculinity, and they don't, how we don't talk to our, we're not going to go there.
Ruben talked about that masculinity, but there's such an interesting topic. So it's like, oh, wait, what you say, Kayla? Masculinity,
So it's like, we don't tell our little boys that they can, talk about emotions and share those things. So when they end up getting in these relationships, whether it be heterosexual relationships or homosexual relationships, they're still could be victims of domestic violence. And so they're not open, or they're not willing to come out and say that. I will say that, in my time here, I haven't had a lot of men, and that was something that it's just kind of like, I know that they're out there. I would love to help and service them as well, but unfortunately, like they're just not coming up and speaking. And I would say, speaking back on projects, that's something that I would like to research if I have enough time here, but by December, or even after, like an afterthought of like, why aren't, men coming out and saying like, this is the type of relationship I am, or can I get help and process those things? Because within the counseling department or in the counseling program or any therapeutic relationship, when trauma happens, it manifests in other ways throughout your body. And that's any type of trauma. But, in relation to domestic violence, it can manifest in ways that they may not even think that, oh, like I'm always stressed. It's my boss. But it may not be. Like if you're in an unsafe relationship and it can manifest in your body, and that could be the reason why it's a decline in health. And if we're in a pandemic, that's
just like you're on flight mode all the
yeah.
time, you're fight or flight all the time. What am I doing? What am I supposed to do? So
Yeah, and
yeah,
someone just bumps up against you or brushes you and you're ready to fight them, but it wasn't even like that, it's trauma manifesting. So, speaking of fight or flight, that happens a lot.
Well, we really want to thank you for that. That was really interesting. And before we go to Zach, is there anything else about the counseling department or about your journey as our wonderful intern that we don't want to leave ever? Is there anything else that you would like to share with our audience today?
I would say that in terms of counseling, you can always, a lot of people think like, oh, well, this person's going to judge me. But you really like walk in the door and it's like a judgment free zone. Like you could
on the doors.
Yeah. And a lot of times that people, when they think about counseling, they think that, they don't want to talk to someone because they've had other experiences with friends or family. But we're not, and I say this in the nicest way possible, but we're not your friends or family, so it means that it's a judgment-free zone. It's like we're, no biases here. You could tell us anything and we're here to listen to you. And really we help you do the work to like kind of unravel all of the chaos that's going on in your life. And a lot of times like people just have a misconception about what the counseling experience is. And I also like to say that, especially at South Suburban Family Shelter, it's free. So even if you were in a domestic violence relationship like 6 months ago or a year ago, but it's still manifesting in ways, or your children witnessed it, you and your children can come to counseling and you all can get services and help that you may need. And a lot of times, like especially with e-learning, they may not think, oh, well, my kids, they're fine. Like a lot of people say kids are resilient, but in reality, the thing about children is it just shows up later in life. So they seem resilient, but they've just learned to grow in ways that
they're not really understanding what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
So of course I'm bouncing back because I don't understand what kind of just happened. But okay, I'm gonna go back to doing what I was doing.
Yeah, exactly. Like I always say, like kids grow within their environments, but after their environment is gone, so after they're put out and they're 18 years old or 24 and they meet their partner, they're going to repeat those same patterns if those patterns haven't been worked out in therapy or with someone in a real way. So there's this thing called like social scripts that children have. So children, they always like to emulate scripts. So if they see their parents always cleaning up, as an adult, they'll just think, okay, this is what you do. Like you clean, like my son, he's 2, like just thinking of a little social script that he does. We put our shoes right by the door, like in the closet. So if I have my shoes in a random place in the house, Mommy, your shoes go in the closet. Okay. Like he knows, like kids will emulate.
But that makes a lot of sense. Look, I'm over here feeling like I'm in class. I'm like, oh. No, but that makes sense.
So, taking that scenario, and putting it in a domestic violence lens, if a child sees their parents arguing all the time, they're going to think that that's normal. So then when they get in a relationship, they talk to their spouse that way, or they receive that information that way. So if someone if there's a healthy relationship, because a lot of people say, well, why can't they just be in a healthy relationship? If they as a child have never received information in a healthy manner, they don't understand that. So they need someone who's talking at them in a chaotic way, because that's the only thing that they understand, because as a child they were brought up in that environment. So I just would like to say, for anyone who, even if they've experienced domestic violence, they've left the situation, but they have children who have witnessed it. Even if they were in the house, you don't have to say, but just be open, just thinking like, maybe my child would benefit from some sort of counseling. So.
Well, there we have it. Angie was just in a counseling session with Kayla today. But no, if you are interested, go to Kayla. Thank you so much for your words of your wisdom and your knowledge and your professionalism to this topic, to your department. We just really appreciate you so much for being here with us today.
Thanks.
So Zach, let's go to you. Zach, do we have any questions for myself or for Kayla on live today?
Yeah, so we have one question so far for Kayla. So if anyone else has a question, feel free to get that in right now. But I'll start with this one for Kayla. So this is about your future goal of having a practice for yourself.
Yeah.
And will you incorporate what you learned at SSFS into your private practice?
Yes, I plan to, especially, looking at the lens of pregnancy and afterwards. A lot of times, domestic violence can manifest in ways of like their partner not helping them with their child, like the postpartum period, not necessarily the diagnosis, because anytime you throw out the word postpartum, people be like, they're depressed. No, postpartum means after you have a baby. So anywhere from the day after you had the baby to postpartum period. So their partner just leaving it all on that one person, where they're still healing, they're not able to take care of everything. That's still a form of like emotional abuse. So I would say that I'm definitely going to take what I've learned here and implement, like use that in my future practice on domestic violence for my clients, or even if there's other people, because I mean, I don't know what's going to happen 10 years or 15 years down the line. If I hire more people who are domestic violence trained, then, we could have that actually, be a part of the practice as well. But I definitely appreciate everything that I've learned. I love that my internship experience has been with court and everything else. So I think that seen all the lenses that a lot of people don't know. Everyone's like, oh, it's just a shelter. No, we have court, we have everything else in between. What you all do, what you, Zach, and Angie, what you guys do, like literally going into the schools, I love it.
Thank you so much. And you know what, Kayla, I know that you were sitting there and talking about an idea for training. I think you already got your topic already. So there you go. Zach, are there any other questions?
Yes, we just got one more for right now, and it's for Kayla. So if you could take your top 3 takeaways for interning at SSFS, what would those be?
I would say, is it 3 words or top 3?
Top 3.
Three
okay, because I'm like, how people do those 3 word sort of things, and I can never think of like 3 like actual words. I would say it's interesting. It's been the number one thing because of the pandemic and just schedule wise. I also loved being in court. I think that just for anybody who's trained at our agency, we have to observe court. I think that's the most people don't know about court. Like being in that world is just like, there's so many moves. So anytime that I'm over there, I'm just like, wow, this is so cool. Like I'm like a kid in a candy store, like, ooh, what can I see? You know, it's just, you know, I just feel like I'm in on a secret that nobody else is in on because not that many people get to be there.
It's so funny because I remember being in training and going to court, and it's like they said, what does that mean? Wait, what? Look in the book. What
you
does that
never
mean?
know. You know, I don't even know. I'm like always like, what is this? What is that? And they just be so quick and fast. And then also, I would say the last thing I've taken away are my clients. Like I've learned so much from them. Even the clients that I've just recently, like they're finished. They've a successful journey, so they've grown and like they're on their own now. Like I've learned so much from them, and I'm so happy to use this agency and then me to be able to like be in the passenger seat of their car. So those are the three things that I've taken away. This pandemic has been the most like interesting thing out of it, of course.
Oh yeah, definitely. You're doing an amazing job, so
Thanks.
I agree.
Thank you so much. I had so much fun. I was like, yay, of course I'll do it.
Yeah, and it turned out really good. And even if you was nervous, you didn't seem nervous at all. Zach, is there anything else for us?
Yes, if we can take one more question. We have one more.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So we're going to switch context a little bit, and this one's for Kayla as well. So the context for this question is the ongoing fight for racial justice in healthcare. And as a woman of color, do you feel a responsibility to advocate for those who have to advocate for themselves to receive proper healthcare, especially mental health care?
Yes. Oh, that's such a good question.
Question.
Yeah, that was a really good question. So Black women are dying at 3 times the rate of any other race in labor and delivery. So labor and delivery and pregnancy. And so that's a big thing that I advocate for. It's funny that you mentioned healthcare and hospitals. I mean, I would love to have a way to be able to, my favorite part, and veer off a little bit. My favorite part about when I deliver my boys are the people who checked on me. Like, even if like, it was just the funniest, like just nurses, oh, how are you doing? Is there anything else I can get for you? Like they weren't the nurses, they were just, or the doctors or anyone else. They were just there to make sure that my mental, emotional stability was there. And then also I physically was okay. And that's a big thing, especially in pregnancy and labor and delivery. We don't have any training for Black women in regard in that sector, especially when that period of time is really life or death. So having someone be able to be like, are you okay? Or, you know, empowering us mothers to speak up or say, no, something's not okay. I tell everyone to watch Serena Williams' documentary because she talks in detail about what happened to her and how she almost died. And it's someone who like, it puts a name to what's going on. Because a lot of people, we could say facts, but if someone doesn't know them, they're gonna be like, oh, that's just a statistic, so I don't know them.
Right.
So I always tell them, like, watch the documentary and it will make, just to answer your question, like, yes, I'm always like keeping up with those things. I really, for my future clients, want to empower them to be able to be like, something's not right in the emergency room, or when you're going into labor, tell them that something's not right. Say this is not okay, and you can fire your nurses or doctors. I have done it, so you can. That's another story for another day, but I'm just letting you know, you can let them.
Pregnancy stories.
No, you don't need, no, it's
I'm over here like, and let me tell you about mine. No. Sorry, audience. Sorry,
you can
friends. Me and Kayla gonna have to talk outside of tea about our experiences in the
Yes,
hospital.
you can tell them I'm sorry, this is not working for me. I don't feel that you're providing me with the care that I need, and then I need to see someone else. Why I need to see someone else. That's all you have to say, and they will find someone else. Do you know how many people work in that hospital? They will find someone else to work for you. It is life or death for us, and you need to make sure that you go home to your babies. Mm-hmm.
I love that answer, and I just love the knowledge that you have. I'm over here like, wait, are we still on tea? Are we going to talk about babies and pregnancy?
You are so funny.
Look, Zach's like, come on, ladies, I don't have time for this right now. So, Zach, is there any other questions for us?
Those are all the questions. So thanks for the
much
answers.
To everyone who asked questions.
Well, we do, before we all log off, we do want to thank you all so much for tuning in again this Tuesday, for being with us, and our amazing intern. Thank you so much, Kayla, for being with us. Thank you so much for your knowledge and your wisdom. And before you all go, I got some tea for you. Okay, so keeping dreams alive, silent auction. Okay, let's talk about it. That will include the Benches for Change as well. Okay, so they will be going live September 26th. Okay, September 26th for the silent auction. Benches will be included. Do not forget that. Okay, so along with the gala, it has the grand raffle, which you have the chance to get two. I'm making sure, look, development, I'm making sure I'm not saying no wrong things. 2 round trip Southwest tickets. Okay, they are available now. They are available now. So 2 tickets. Okay, now you have 1 chance for $20 or 6 chances for $100. Okay, so please make sure you all are taking advantage of this. I understand that you all are looking like I don't know about you, but I want a vacation somewhere that's not in Illinois or something. I don't know. But just keep a lookout for that as well. I know we've been talking about a lot. The Benches for Change development has been doing their thing. And we have a lot of great opportunities coming. So again, we just want to say thank you so much. Be sure to share, like, and comment our videos. Spread the word to your friends. Guess what? We're going to be back next week, same time, same place, with different tea. Okay, so thank you so much. Have a great day. Thank you.
Bye.